Hey there, it's Leslie at Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and today I've got another sitting gnome cookie decorating tutorial for you. This one has my heart with his flower pot hat and his bunch of daisies. This is the most versatile cutter. You can use it for several different seasons or events. You just change out what he's holding. And if you want the cutter, the 3D printer STL file is on my website. The link is in the description. Anyway, let's get to decorating this cookie. So all of my icing consistencies are a 15-second flood consistency, and I'm outlining each area and then flooding that in and then using my scribe to settle the icing down and getting the icing out to the edges. And then I'm allowing areas that are going to be touching another color to have some time to dry and crust over before I pipe the color that's right next to it. And I'm also going from back to front. So I started with the bottom of the shoes and I let that dry. And I piped in the pants while that was drying. And then I moved on to the flower pot hat and I let that dry. And I piped in the brown for the tops of his shoes. And I'm letting that dry. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the cuffs to his pants. And then I'll let that dry as well. I piped in the whole beard and mustache area because the mustache is going to be higher than the beard. And I'll go back in after the after the beard has had a chance to dry, and I'll pipe the mustache. And here I'm just piping in his arms. Again, I let the beard dry before doing that, and the pants because the arms are going to be touching the pants. And while I wait for everything else to dry, I will start with making a little half flower up here by his flower pot hat. So I'm using a very small petal tip and some very stiff white icing right out of the mixer. And I'm just going to make little petals. The fat side of my petal tip is pointed up, and I'm just going to pipe a bead and pull it straight back. And I'm going to do that until I have all of the petals that I want, and then I will go back and add a yellow center. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. If you don't have a petal tip, you can also use a small round tip or a tipless piping bag. So now that the beard and the arms have had a chance to crust over, let's go back in and add the mustache. And then just use your scribe to get that shape the way that you want it. And then pipe a line of icing where the top of the pot's going to go, or the bottom of this hat, however you want to refer to it, because we don't want that area to crater. We'll let that crust over while we go back to making our flowers. And here's the petal tip I'm using. So I'm going to add some petals that come up over the yellow center. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going up and down, starting at the bottom, going up and coming back down with the fat end of the piping tip at the top. I'll use a slightly dampened paintbrush to shape the bottom of these petals. Because the icing is stiff, you can kind of push it where you need it to go. And then we'll make another flower over here, just again making kind of an up and down motion and using my paintbrush as needed to move the petals where I want them to go. And I'm just going to go all the way around, and then we will add our yellow center. And back to the gnome, the mustache has had time to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and pipe in his nose because I want this hat brim or the bottom of the pot to go kind of up over the nose. I did let the nose dry before I piped the rest of the hat. And as always, I'm going to use my scribe to settle the icing down. I let the hat brim dry, and now I'm just going to use my green to put a bottom at the base of my flowers and then add some stems, and then I will be adding flowers to that later. I want him to be holding a lot of daisies, so I'm going to add a lot of stems here, and then I will go back and add in the flowers. On this one, I'm just using my piping bag, and I am not using the petal tip. And I'm just making a 5 or 6 point flower and going around. And here I'm going to use the petal tip again, and I'm just making up and down motions and adding the petals. Basically, they're just like little upside down U's. Just go all the way around and add your petals. And for this flower, I have the pointy end at the bottom and the fatter end at the top. And because the icing is stiff, you can add your yellow center right away. And let's just continue to make more flowers. This is just a little bud, so I just did 3 little petals, and then I added the base with the green. Basically, I piped a ball of green icing, and I'm using my scribe to bring it up onto the flower. And again, repeating the process over here, I'm just making little upside down U's. I'm going to make 4 or 5 petals, and then I will just put a little center and then pipe over the top of that with one little petal at the bottom. And just continue on to make as many flowers as you would like with little upside down U's. Spinning your cookie on a cookie turntable really helps. And you can use a dampened paintbrush to shape your flower. And now that all of the centers of my flowers have had a chance to crust over, I'm going to go back in and dimple them with the tip of my scribe. You can also use a toothpick because I want them to have more of a daisy finish. And this one didn't work too well, needed some more icing, so I'm just going to add that there in little dots. I don't want it to be smooth. And to add a few leaves, I'm just going to take my tipless piping bag, make a bead of icing, and then drag it back down towards the stem, using my scribe to help blend the icing together as needed. And just make as many leaves as you want, filling in any areas that need it. And taking my stiff icing again with the same petal tip, I'm just going to pipe the bow and some wavy little tails. And now I'm going to pipe in his hands. I should have done that before I did all of these flowers, but I'll squeeze them in there and use my scribe to settle the icing down. Oh, and by the way, my bow was dry before I did this. And that's it. Our little flower gnome is finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and check out some of these other designs I've made using this cutter. It's super versatile. You can use it for just about any occasion: St. Patrick's Day, birthdays, Valentine's Day, Christmas, 4th of July, you name it. You can use this cutter for everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe. See you next time.